Have you guys ever wondered how you can make these pushable blocks that you can push until they kind of reach a spot and then can no longer be pushed again? Well, you're lucky because today we're going to be teaching you exactly how that works. And what we're going to also do is we're going to make this box go on top of a button, and it's gonna kind of like keep a door open until you like let go, and then it's gonna close the door again. So as always, my tutorials are gonna be super duper beginner friendly, so I guess just slap that like and let's begin. So the very first thing you want to do is, of course, go to the settings and make your level a platformer. This way you can go left and right, and that's pretty cool. And I would say let's just first make the door. So we want to select this one, and so let's say this was your door. You want to give it a group ID by going to edit group while having everything selected, and then click on next free, give it 1, and then what you want to do is basically what we have done is assign this thing to the number 1. And now let's just add a small button that's gonna look something like this. We're gonna scale it down on the X like that, and that's a cool button. So now we want to click this, and to click it you want to add a move trigger. So if we add a move trigger over there, we click on edit object while having the move trigger selected, and then we input the group ID that we had for the door, and then we want to just do plus 30. So plus 30 like that. And now if you play, you're gonna see that the door is instantly just gonna start going up. Now we want this to only happen if you touch this thing over here. And to do that is actually very, very simple. You just have to go to edit object and click this touch trigger, and it's gonna draw this beautiful outline on the trigger, and you can just scale it down, bring it down like so, and now if you click this, the door is just gonna open, which is beautiful. However, we can spice it up a lot more by basically making the button actually click, like go down. And to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to move this back here, and we're going to use another trigger. We want to use the spawn trigger because it's much more organized, because we want to spawn multiple triggers. So just add this one, and to the move trigger you want to click to group, edit group, and then give it a new group ID. So to the trigger you want to give 2, and then in the spawn click on edit object, and then in here just input 2 and then touch trigger, and then you can place this down right where you place the other one. And now if you do this, nothing is going to happen, because every single trigger that has to be triggered via a different trigger has to be on spawn trigger. So you want to select the move trigger, edit object, and go on to spawn triggered. And also let's just make the easing like ease in and out. So now if you do this, you guys are going to see that the door is simply going to open. So it's the exact same thing, but now we have the move trigger up there, which is very helpful, because now we want to give this button, like this object, a new group ID. Let's say we give it 3, and then we want to copy and paste this one up there. We want to do 3, and this time we want to move it down by like 2, and we're going to do ease out. So now you guys can see that we have, yeah, works perfectly. You click the button and the door just opens, which is just phenomenal. Very, very cool. Now let's say you want to make this door kind of close down as soon as you leave this thing, and that's where it gets a tiny bit complicated. It's actually not complicated at all. So just add a state thing over here and make it kind of like small like that. I would say, yeah, that's pretty good, like so. And now what you want to do is get rid of the spawn, and you want to select these guys. So those ones are on 2, so you want to click the state, edit object, and insert 2 in here. So now if I go inside this box, it's going to trigger those 2, which is gonna open the door and then click the button. And now we want to just copy these and just move them somewhere else, and then click on edit object. Actually, we're gonna have to do that manually for each one. So 3 is the button. We want it to go up if you leave, and the door we want it to go down. And then we're gonna also use the easing bounce out, and we're gonna give these 2 a new group ID. Let's say 4. Then you want to go to the state and insert 4 over here. And now you guys will see that if I click the button, it's actually going to open up the door. If we leave, it's going to close down. However, this only happens once, and to fix that, you just have to select all of your triggers, edit object, and multi-trigger. This basically allows these triggers to be triggered multiple times. So now you can click and leave and click and leave. This is very, very cool. However, now, actually, how do we get past this? Well, we need a box. That's how the video games work. So we're gonna add a box. Let's say we add this one, right? Then we're simply just gonna make it like be able to be pushed. So we're gonna give it a new group ID, let's say 5. And after doing that, all you want to do is add a move trigger. Select the object that you added, make sure you remember the 5. So then select the move trigger, edit object, and then go to 5. And now we want to move it to the right by 1. So on the X, we want to make it, then we want to exit, and then click on this one, and then create loop. And what this is going to do is, if you select this one and make this like 0.1, like 0.1, like so, you're gonna see that as soon as we start, this guy is just gonna start going away, which is pretty funny, but we don't want that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna see that these two things have the group ID of 6. That is what was assigned as soon as we click the create loop. So now what you want to do is add a stop trigger, move it to the right just a bit, and then click on edit object, give it that object of these two, which was 6, the group ID, so 6, and then we want to pause it, right? So now as soon as we start, it's gonna loop, but instantly it's just gonna stop it, so that's pretty cool. So now we want to just resume and pause this according to our position. So we want to place another state object right there, scale it down like so. I would say it doesn't really matter that much, but then you want to add 2 stop triggers, 1 and 2, and then you want to see that these guys have 6 as the group ID, and go to the 2, input 6, give them both a spawn triggered and also a multi trigger, and then one of them make it resume and the other one make it pause. So now we have this state right here. So as soon as we are on this thing, we want to spawn the resume. So we want to give this guy a new group ID of 7, and we're going to input 7 in here, and this one's going to be 8. So as soon as we go off, it's going to pause the entire thing. So now you guys can see that it's working, but you guys can see that, yeah, it's not entirely working because this box is not moving alongside this one, and it's super easy to fix that. You just want to select the box, copy values, then select the other one and paste values. Or you can just see what this box has of a group ID and assign it to this one as well. So now you guys can see that we have created a cool box that you can push and stuff. And one thing you're gonna see that this is a bug, but if an object has been moved and then stopped, if you step on it, it's just gonna start moving you. Like, I'm not clicking anything right now, and it's really weird, but you can select it, edit group extra, and then grip slope, I assume, or non-stick X, one of the two. But now let's see, it should work. Yeah, it should work. I think it's non-stick X because that's what's for move things. Yeah, so if you disable non-stick X, it should work. Okay, so how do we make this box basically be placed on this thing and actually click this button instead of just us having to click the button? To do that, it's very simple. You just have to add a collision block on top of the box. So you want to add this one, it's right there, and select the box, copy values, select the collision block, paste state, and move it to the box. So now you want to click on edit object and then give it a new block ID, dynamic block. Sounds complicated, but what we have done is just create a new collision block that's basically always going to be on the box, which is pretty cool. So now you want to add a second collision block right here where we want to see if the box is on the thing or not. So just add this one, give it 2, and then just place it right there. And now, not only when we enter this area do we want to make the door go up, but also when this box is on top of here. So we can use the collision trigger, place it over there, and then do 1 and 2. So if this box, if this one collision touches the 2 over here, if it touches like that, it's actually going to trigger whatever we want. So in this case, we want to make the button go down and the door go up, which is, both of them are group ID 2. So you just select this one, edit object, and then 2, and then activate group. So now if you push this thing enough, it's actually gonna, click the button, which is pretty cool. So that's awesome. However, now you can see that there's gonna be a bunch of issues. So you can open the door twice, and if you let go, it's just gonna not close down again, even though nothing is on the block. So to do that, you just want to select the collision block, copy and paste it, move it down, and then edit object. And then you want to just select trigger on exit. And then you want to trigger these two on exit, just like we had in here. You guys remember 2 and then 4. So in here, we want to have 4 on exit. So now if the box goes on it, it's going to start triggering. And if the box leaves it, it's going to leave off, which is pretty cool. And now if you want this box to only be, this button to only be clicked once. So right now you guys can see that I can click it 2 times, which doesn't make that much sense. It's a bit complicated to fix that, but I think it should work pretty fine. So you want to add this 0 and then edit special, give it to 1. And then what you want to do is add a pickup trigger over here and over there. And then you want to select this one, copy values, paste state, this one, copy values, this one, paste state. And select both of them and then edit object, spawn trigger, the multi-trigger, and then 1, because this is 1. And for this one is basically when you step on it. So when you step on it, it's going to open up. So we're going to do override and then 1. So we want to set the value of C1 to 1, and then we're going to set it to 0 if we step off. So what this means is that this number is going to be 1 when I am on the block, and it's going to be 0 as soon as I leave. And it's going to be the same as if this guy is on and when this guy leaves. And the problem now is if it's 1, it's still going to be clickable. So we want it to not be clickable if it's 1. So to do that, we're going to use the item compare. This trigger is very, very simple. It looks scary, but it's really, really useful. So we want to place it right there. And what you want to do is select all of these guys and give them a different group ID. Let's say 9. So now you want to select the item compare, edit object, just input in here 9, in here 1, item, and yeah, I think that's it. So what this is going to do is it's going to check, is this item the value of this one, so the 0 or the 1? Is this current value actually set to 1? If it's 1, then we want to do 9. And 9 in this case is open the door. So we don't want it to be 1, we want to check if it's 0, right? So if the door has not been clicked, then we want to be able to click it. But if it's already clicked, then we don't want to open it again. So just select this one, go to spawn, trigger, and multi-trigger. And now instead of spawning, so this one spawns 2, right? And this one also spawns 2 if you enter it. So instead, we want to give this item compare the 2. So now every time you enter this button, it's actually going to go and trigger this one first. So it's going to check, is the item ID 1 equal to 0? If it is, then we're going to trigger 9, which is all of this mess. So what it's going to do is, as soon as I click, it's actually going to check. So right now it's 0, so it's going to allow me to open the door because the value is 0. And that's perfect. Now if we do this, it should work because now it's 1. So now if I step on it, it's not going to do anything. Why? Because the value is already at 1 and we don't want to click it 2 times. So that's pretty cool. And now you may say, how do I move this the other way around? That's also not that hard to do that. You're just gonna have to, there's actually a hack where you can just select every single object that is relevant to each other. So basically all of these guys, you know how we made this loop and then we stopped the loop instantly and then we resumed the loop every time you enter this and we paused it every time you leave this. So we want to select all of these guys, copy and paste them, move them to the left, and then click here and then build helper. And what it's going to do is simply just do the exact same thing, but give them new group IDs and all this stuff. However, you can see that it changed the move target group ID to 10, but we still want this to be the same object. So we want it to be 5. And instead of moving it to the right, we want to do -1. And now if we put this right there, right, this is on the right, this is on the left, it should work. Okay, we still have to give it the group ID of 5, so not 10. We want to make it so all of this stuff has to be 5, so they all get to move together. So now if we move it to the right, it works. If we move it to the left, guess what? It works. Very, very, very cool. Okay, so I think we're approaching the end. So just as a bonus thing, I'm going to show you guys something very, very cool that you can do So if you have particles like these ones that you want to spawn like that, you're gonna make it slam. Or if you have one of, where is it? This one. I'm gonna show you how to trigger this as soon as the door goes down. So you want to make this on T2 first so that it's on top of everything. And we're gonna select it, go to edit special and use speed and actually make it a bit faster because that's a bit cooler. And now we want to give that one a group ID of 10, let's say next 3 and then 10, edit special and then animate on trigger. So this way it doesn't animate unless you animate it via a trigger. So you want to place, so this one, these guys actually close the door, so we want to add the animates onto them, right? So we want to select one of these guys and copy values, select the animate, paste values, and we want to animate group ID of 10. So 10 animate, we want to enable these guys because this is how this is triggered. And now you guys can see that if I leave off, it's going to instantly trigger this thing, which is not exactly what we want. We want to kind of have a delay. So to do the delay is also very simple. So you want to give this a different group ID now, so 14, and then add a spawn trigger that belongs to these guys. So paste, so copy values from this one, paste them in here. And in here we want to spawn 14. So if we spawn 14 like so, and then we can give it a delay. So let's say 0.2. So after 0.2 seconds of these guys being spawned, this one is finally gonna also spawn. So now you guys can see that if we let go, it's actually gonna slam down and it looks phenomenal. Very, very perfect. And in case the value was incorrect, you can just go ahead and in here change the delay as you wish. Also, another thing I am gonna do is that you see how when this guy is kind of on it, it looks a bit weird because they're kind of overlapping. So I'm actually gonna move this box just a bit to the top, and we're gonna do that by adding a move trigger to here, copying values, pasting over there, and moving 5, let's say up by 2, I believe should be good. And if it's not, we can fix that, but copy and paste it. Copy paste this one like that, -2. So now if we do this, it should go up. Yeah, it's a bit too much. That's actually too much. Let's do 1 and 1. And now if you push the box on it, it's gonna go up a bit, which is perfect. Exactly what we want. So yeah, I'm actually gonna get rid of this because if you want to make it like look really, really cool, it's gonna take a bit more triggers. But I think that's pretty much it. Let's give it a try and see how good it works and if it even works. So I'm gonna get rid of, actually let me just put this number. I'm gonna get rid of this number because we don't really need that number. You can get rid of that in case you didn't know. You can hide it or you can get rid of that. So now we have a door. You can open it, but you can't really go through it because it doesn't make any sense. So now we want to use this one. That's actually gonna allow us to click the button via the door, and yeah, you can push it on or you can push it off, which works pretty good, right? Right, now we're just gonna put it on it and go to freedom. Let's go, we did it. Don't forget to slap that like, subscribe, and also comment down below what tutorial you want to see next. And feel free to rewatch this or any other tutorials. I have this playlist that is on the screen right now. It has a lot of tutorials and it's gonna help you out a lot. So don't hesitate to watch it, and I will see you guys in the next tutorial.